inspiration. 30 minutes of pure entertainment with musicians, writers, and actors to motivators, chefs, and even rappers to up-and-comings with the it factor. It's the Jazzie K.Ward coming at ya. Have fun, some smiles, a few laughs. Tune in, chime in, sit back, relax. Have fun, some smiles, a few laughs.
Did you all hear me? Did y'all hear me playing the saxophone? Hey everybody, happy Monday to you. I'm your host, Jazzie K.Ward, and welcome. I'm so glad to be back live with you guys. I've been traveling so much with work, so busy. And even if you didn't tune into the replays, shame on you, okay? I'm so excited to be back with you tonight. Our special guest tonight is the one and the only saxophonist. Phil Walker is our special guest. I see people come in the room. Don't forget to share the video, share the live. Are you guys ready to start Artist Talk? I think I'm ready. Let's go ahead and kick off the show right now.
Live from WKRW, welcome to Artist Talk, a live one-on-one conversation with your host, the man with the golden voice, Jazzie K.Ward.
Hey guys, we are live. I saw the messages there. Castella, we are live tonight. Hello, my friend. Castella is in California. You know, they know how to party out there in California. Hey, my friend, Dr. G, Dr. Graham is with us tonight. What's up, my friend? Gerald is hanging out with us. Happy Monday. Happy Monday to each and every one of you. Chef D is in the house with us tonight. You know, he's always running things in the background. You know, and when we were talking, I was talking with Phil earlier today, and we were going over some technical things. And then before I came on, I started having some technical, you know, it's life, right? Things happen. Those things kind of happen. But I'm so excited to be back with you guys live. Again, I have been traveling quite a bit here the last few weeks. And I've been missing y'all, but I hope you watch the replays for those who've missed some of these amazing artists that we have on the show. But in the meantime, don't forget to go over to K.Ward Radio, which is my YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe to that, as well as kwardradio.com is my website. subscribe to all of that. And if you don't, as we say throughout the show, shame on you. Okay. Hey, my friend Icon, love you too. Shame on you if you don't know my special guest tonight. Well, his name is Phil Walker. Now, the website is philwalkerjazz.com. You gotta love it. I just wanted to say that. Gotta love it. It's his new single, his new release that is climbing up the charts, the smooth jazz charts. So make sure you go get the new song. Gotta love it. But just to tell you a little bit about Phil, Phil always had a natural attraction to music. His new album is in the air tonight. It's debuted in February of 22, which is a tribute to Phil Collins. Now, the album features guests like Steve Oliver, former Whippingtons Kim Smith and Dave Hooper, as well as Richard Smith. Now, Phil is also the author of several nationally published finance articles and white papers. You didn't know that, did it? Shame on you. So, of course, he definitely has that it factor. I'm so excited to be able to have a conversation with our special guest. So, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, let's welcome recording artist, saxophonist, Phil Walker to Artist.
Hey, Jazzie.
Hey, my friend Phil, happy Monday.
Yeah, happy Monday. Good to see you.
Good to see you too, my friend. And I am loving your background and your room. Tell us a little bit about that setup back
there. Well, in this new age of music and social media, I knew I wanted to be able to, on the fly, throw a video together, and I haven't done a lot of them yet, but I've done a few, and just to have, I call this my music corner, and this direction's all music and that direction's all business. So if you were to see the flip of this, it's all computer screens and computers and things like that on the other side. So
right,
it's a multi-purpose room.
I love. Yeah. Well, you know what, my setup is kind of the same way. So this is my little music corner that I call it, my little music, my oasis that I escape to, but I work from home too. So, hey, one side is for the music and all that, and then one side is Monday through Friday. I'm in here with like 3 computer monitors working. So I love it. And I love the lights that hang back there. It just gives it a certain vibe. I like that vibe back there.
Yeah, I was going for that jazz club thing. So
I do. I like that. and of course, everybody, I see people, hey, Ron, Shakinya, I hope I said that name right. I'm bad with names sometimes. I hope I said that right, Ms. Simpkins. I hope I got your name right. So again, our special guest is Phil Walker. Don't forget, philwalkerjazz.com is his website. And I think, Phil, when I came on, was that song called Passion Thing from your second CD?
Yes. Yep. That was it.
I love that. I love that Passion Thing. What made you come up with that title?
Well, originally that was going to be the title track of the album, and we originally pressed it that way. And what we haven't had a chance to talk about yet, which I think you'll find kind of interesting, I'm amazed by it actually, is that all the songs on this album I wrote and recorded 23 years ago and just released them. Yeah. And well, the idea that
you only look 27.
What's that?
Well, you only look 27.
No, now don't start lying not to me now. Don't. Our relationship was on a good footing to start with. Don't lie to me. But yeah. So I had started this journey about 25 years ago, and I got a phone. Really strange thing. I owned a mortgage company back then, and had a kind of an epiphany out of a very serious illness where I went deaf in one ear and almost, if not for a major surgery from it. They literally drilled on my skull for 4 hours and to stop the progression of a disease. And I came out looking like the Elephant Man on half of my face, and had to go in for another surgery 9 months later to restore the hearing in that ear. And so after that trauma, I'm signing all these papers, acknowledging that I won't sue them if they hit this nerve and paralyze me, or hit that nerve and, kill me. And I'm getting wheeled under the lights. And I just have this thought about, what if? What if this is it, right? And I don't make it. And as I'm going out, I'm envisioning explaining myself, in heaven, as to, answering the question, who are you? And I said, I'm a saxophonist. Wow. And I went out. And I actually hadn't played in 15 years at that point. Now, this is, again, 24 years ago. Right. And so that epiphany was, oh my gosh, here I am, this businessman, but I'm really a saxophonist. I've got to include this back in my life, because I believe if you don't use your God-given talents, you're not honoring God the way he intended. Right. So I said, okay, well, where can I do this? And so the first thing I did was I volunteered to play at a board of realtors event, about 500 realtors in my local market, promote the mortgage company. Right. And, but also start playing again. And nobody knew that I played. Nobody in the industry knew that I played. Did a couple of Christmas songs in the style of Kenny G, and the place went crazy. And I get a phone call the next day from a promoter that said, I heard what you did. And I said, what do you mean? And he goes, I heard about your performance yesterday. Will you come play at my company, Christmas party? And I said, sure. Already worked up some Christmas songs. Why not? So I do that. They loved it. We have lunch about a week later. And I said, so, what would I need to do to open some of these shows? Because he was bringing Dave Koz to town and Kenny G and all these different people. And he said, just tell me when you're ready. I was like, oh, wow. Okay, cool. So, this is like in December of, I don't know, 1999, I think, something like that. Wow. And I'm thinking, okay, I got a lot of practicing to do. I got to get my chops back. I've got to find band members. I got to write some music. I'm thinking maybe in a year, I might open one of these shows and check off that box that, I finally did a solo performance. Because up until then, I'd always been in, bands, and I was even section leader to 78 saxophones in the LA Olympic opening ceremonies band, things like that. And so out of the blue, he calls me 3 months later and says, hey, there's a Guitars and Saxes show in 6 nights. It's already sold out. Do you want to open for Richard Elliott, Peter White, and Craig Shakiso in 6 nights? I was like, yeah, sure. I went, oh God, I've got Christmas music and it's March. Right. And so I told my staff, you're on your own. I held up in my house, wrote day and night, recorded background. There's no time for a band. Right. Recorded the backing tracks to 4 songs, went out all by myself on stage with somebody hitting play for the band in the can, and got like 2 standing ovations, and hung out the rest of the night with Peter White and Richard Elliott and Craig Shakiso. At the end of the show, the promoter comes back and he's angry with me, and he said, where were you at intermission? I'm going, what do you mean? I was hanging out with Peter White. I got all these guys' albums. I'm a fan, right? Right. And he goes, there were 200 people in the lobby that wanted your signature and buy your CD. And I said, I don't have a CD. He goes, well, you better get one. And so all of a sudden, I'm back in the music business. Wow. Right. And started opening all these major smooth jazz festivals and shows in California. And ended up proposing to my wife in the middle of my show at the San Diego Jazz Festival.
Wow.
Yeah, and hung out with Peter White to celebrate afterwards backstage. Yeah,
that's amazing.
So so I do this album, and I'm about to release it, but every record deal I was offered, they wanted me on the road 200 days a year, and we had a baby on the way. Wow. And knew that we wanted to have more, right? So it was just like I packed it up, and went back to business life, and financial advisor back then, and just went back to work, right? Because there was no way I was going to, I had a really great dad. I was blessed with a tremendous father, and I couldn't imagine being on the road 200 days a year. And I know some people can do it, right? I'm not knocking that at all, but it just wasn't something I was going to be happy with, and
Mm-hmm.
couldn't feel like I was a good dad if I wasn't home. Right.
Right.
So now the youngest is halfway through college.
Okay.
Right. And it was like, it's probably time to start playing again. Right. Because
right.
now they don't need me every day.
That's right. That's right.
So a buddy of mine who was also an executive producer on the album calls me out of the blue and says, hey, Art Good, who's a good friend of his, who owns the Catalina Jazz Festival, and said, he and I were talking the other day, and we think you should re-release that album, but call it In the Air Tonight.
I love
because that had gotten tested back in the day when I was about to release, and had tested extremely well on Smooth Jazz Radio. Right. And so we started, the first release was In the Air Tonight, the Phil Collins song.
I remember, I think that was when I was first introduced to you, right? And when I heard that, I said, wait a minute. I heard the intro, and then the way it just came in. I'm going to tell you a real quick story. And my producers, he always is telling me, don't talk so much, Jazzie, don't talk so much. But so at my job, since, during the pandemic, I am the DJ for my job. So before we start our monthly staff meetings, I play the music. And everybody knows I love jazz and all kind of music. And I played your song, right? And, my CEO and president, she was like, oh my God, who is that? And I said, well, that's Mr. Phil Walker, which is still new to me. So they're like, Jazzie, you're always introducing us to music. And I just wanted to ask you, and I know you were playing, homage, I guess, to Phil Collins, but did you always want to do that song, Phil?
There's a challenge in this business to find a cover that somebody hasn't already done.
Right.
And I grew up, I picked up the sax fairly young, summer before I entered the 5th grade. I was watching a preseason football game with my dad, and Boots Randolph walks out onto the field with his big old tenor sax and plays, the yakety sax guy, right? People think of him as the Benny Hill theme, but he was so much more than that. Goes out and plays the national anthem. And I told my dad, I want to do that. I didn't even know what the instrument was called, right? I want to play that thing. I'd make kind of an S, in the air. And so my parents got me a saxophone, and the rest is kind of history. But I grew up in the 80s. The 70s and 80s was 70s and 80s rock, and so I was going to concerts for Boston and ELO and Styx and Journey. I was a huge Journey fan, and eventually a big Phil Collins and Genesis fan too. And so I've got this rocker side. Matter of fact, that is the working title of next year's album, in which I plan to do some smooth jazz versions of classic rock songs that nobody's ever done before. Wow. And we're going to be doing some of them in the show in the fall this year.
Okay. I love that. And something else I wanted to ask you, with all the amazing things and, some things I was reading up on you, I know you initially started off playing the piano, and then I think you was like, no, you took some lessons from your mom, and then you decided, no, I don't want to do that. I'm going to stick with this saxophone. So I want to ask you, just if you could name 3 things, what's on Phil's gratitude list?
Oh my. I thank God every day for my wife and my kids, and
I think we lost sound from you, Phil.
My life. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
You got me now?
Got
okay.
You.
Yeah, no, I prayed for my wife and kids long ago, and I've got them, and so I've got that blessing in my life. I've always had, this desire to try and, leave the world a better place somehow. And I get to do that in my day job, helping people, with their finances. I just, as you mentioned, I was the lead author of a study published last year in the Journal of Financial Planning that made a major discovery that's going to help millions of seniors not run out of money.
Wow.
Right. And so I've got that blessing. And then now coming back to the music, which is super fun for me, is I love making people happy with music. And so the biggest thing for me is when I get to play live and I get that audience feedback, of seeing the joy on their face. They forget about the world for a little while,
right.
and then together we get to make this musical experience,
That's right.
That's super special. And that's a gift from God too. So, those, I mean, I know you want 3, but those are the ones that come to mind.
That's perfect. Because I was going to even ask you, especially during that time, the pandemic, right? So I guess we're slowly getting out of this pandemic. Now I still wear my mask because I'm in and out of airports and airplanes quite often. So I still wear my mask. But did you learn anything different about Phil during that time, Phil? Did you learn anything different?
Maybe that I'm a little more resilient than I thought. I was also blessed that I work from home a lot also. It's like, if you looked at me on LinkedIn, you wouldn't even probably recognize me because I'm in a suit, and I throw the suit on when I have to go speak at a conference somewhere in the country, to a group of financial advisors or something, because that's primarily what I do, is train financial advisors. And then on Facebook, that's all about the music. It's the alter ego, I guess you could say. Yeah. And I was blessed that I started working on Zoom 6-7 years ago. So the transition, I was already working from home. I was already using Zoom every day, and so it wasn't a major transition from that standpoint. Mm-hmm. But then getting my family through that was the challenge at that point. I had 2 boys entering college in the middle of the pandemic, and one was a Division I football player, and rather than having that incredibly exciting time in your life when you're getting that college experience and you're going away for the first time, he would do the grueling workouts of 8 hours of football and weightlifting. Wow. Just to go back to a dorm by himself and do all of his classes online, even though he was at school. Wow. Right. And unfortunately just had a miserable college experience, and then my youngest, had colleges after him for swim scholarships. He was an amazing swimmer in high school. And his last 2 seasons got shut down, due to COVID. So, we all kind of learned that, God kind of gives you the strength, you need at that moment.
That's right.
If you had told me in advance what that was going to turn out like, I would have gone, oh, geez. Right. I don't know. We can get through that. And then, here we are.
Right. And, I say the same thing about that, especially when it comes to music. I think, through a lot of times, during the pandemic, music is the foundation, the joy of music. It got us through a lot. I think a pastor one Sunday was talking about that, the joy of music and the healing that music can do for a lot of us. And that's what your music does. And so many of these amazing artists that are out here today, you do as well. And there was a comment that said, Phil, they want to know more about your publication as well. Your publication. So how can they find out more about you?
Boy, oh boy, oh boy. What's the easiest way? A 20-page, peer-reviewed study will put you to sleep real fast. But I did write an article about it that was published in Advisor Perspectives, which is the leading financial advisor magazine in the US. And I can send you a link that you could post, in the comments or in the, stuff later on. That would probably be the easiest thing.
Okay.
I'd be happy to get you a link so they can read an article about it.
Okay, please do. And also, I'll be happy to share that with everyone. And don't forget to go over to philwalkerjazz.com. That's Phil's website. His new music has In the Air tonight. We're going to talk about his new single, Gotta Love It. You know, I went back earlier today and I was listening, I think on YouTube, your first CD, Better Late Than Never. Better Late Than Never.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, that was the one I threw together after that first concert where he said, you better get a CD. And the only live instruments on that are me and my engineer did a couple of guitar solos. Otherwise, everything else is a synthesizer. And please don't buy that album.
I really enjoyed it.
Don't buy that one.
Don't buy that one. Buy that. Okay. Because people were asking me,
get the new one.
Get the new one. Get the new one, y'all. In the Air tonight. Again, we're talking with international recording artist and saxophonist, Mr. Phil Walker is our special guest. So, Phil, well, I always ask this question. When we talk about jazz music, you know, people, you know, a lot of my friends always think jazz as elevator music, or they think of traditional jazz music. But I want to ask you this question. Why should people care about jazz music?
Oh my goodness. Well, lots of reasons. First of all, you know, its origins are from this country, right? It came out of you know, out of slavery and blossomed into something truly American, right? Mm-hmm. The early, you know, writers and recording artists of jazz in general were just pioneers of a whole new genre of music that had never happened before. And I think what's neat about smooth jazz is that it incorporates a lot of other influences, right? Like on a traditional jazz station, you don't hear somebody doing a remake of a rock tune like In the Air Tonight, right? And so you get artists who have all these other influences that are creating something really, really special, you know? And so, yeah, I mean, if you're not if you're considering, you know, checking out jazz, go to a jazz festival.
Oh, right.
Gosh, they're fun. And you see people just vibing and grooving to the music, right? And they've got a glass of wine in their hand and the sun is out and it's just a beautiful thing. And there's usually some great food, you know, happening there. And it's just a total experience. Like, you know, forget about the elevator, go to a jazz festival and really have some fun.
Right. And I like that you mentioned the wine. I love wine. Wine and jazz, it just goes together, right? And we know we just had April, which is Jazz Appreciation Month. I was going to ask you, do you do anything special for Jazz Appreciation Month, Phil? Do you do anything special?
No. I mean, you know, I've been so busy with the release and everything that goes with that it was kind of automatic this year. Right. But you know, I don't know. We'll see when it rolls around next year what's happening.
What's happening. I love that. So everyone, again, I'm your host, Jazzie K.Ward. You are watching Artist Talk Jazzy After Dark. Our special guest is saxophonist Phil Walker. We're going to take a short break. Phil is going to perform a song selection for us. You don't want to miss. Don't go too far. And we're going to have Dr. Chantel Graham is here out of New York City, and she's going to give us a health tip. Stay tuned. We'll be right back right here on Artist Talk.
Hi, this is saxophonist Phil Walker. Something is in the air tonight, and it's Artist Talk with Jazzie K.Ward. Join him every Monday on Facebook Live or YouTube at 7 p.m. Central Time. And if you don't, hashtag shame on you.
That's right. Something is in the air tonight, ladies and gentlemen. And the one and only Mr. Phil Walker is on the show, which I'm super excited to have a conversation with Phil tonight. He has a new album out, In the Air Tonight. He has a new amazing hit we're going to talk about. Gotta love it. You gotta love it. You gotta love Phil Walker. I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen. Go over to philwalkerjazz.com. So, Phil, what are you going to play for us tonight?
Well, I thought we'd start with "Gotta Love It," and it's funny. At the time when I was writing it, I was thinking, gosh, it'd be kind of fun to name songs since we're all instrumental, right? It'd be kind of fun to try and name songs as if it had words, right? So if you think "Gotta Love It," that rhythm, "Gotta Love It," you'll hear it in the song.
That's right.
At least I do.
I do. I understand. That's right. Colleen said it. If you don't know Phil Walker, shame on you. That's right. So you hopefully you'll get to know him a little bit up close and personal. And his latest smashing hit, which Phil, number on smoothjazz.com, being the most ads recently.
It had the biggest increase in spins of any song on smoothjazz.com. So we're super excited about that. Yeah.
Congratulations. Let's get more spins. Let's push it again to number one, everyone. Wherever music is streaming, the platforms, you can go download it. The album is available too, right, Phil? Can they purchase it directly from you, or how does that work?
Yeah, you can get a physical CD. You can even get a signed CD through the website, or you can also, if you prefer to stream, there's links there to go to every streaming service pretty much there is. If you like Spotify or Amazon or Apple, it's all there.
I love it. I love it. You gotta love it. See, that's such a catchy title, right? Gotta love it. You gotta love it. So Phil, let's take it away. And ladies and gentlemen, this is recording artist and saxophonist Phil Walker, and this is his new release. This is Gotta Love It right here on Artist Talk. I love it. I love it. Again, you gotta love it, y'all. You gotta love it. And one quick question before we go into Dr. G. You know, I watch you perform, Phil, and you do it with so much ease. You do it with so much finesse. What brings you joy in what you do in music?
Oh my. You know, I just love making people happy through it, right? And so as I'm playing, I'm reading the comments popping up on the screen, and that made me happy, right? I mean, I just love
Yeah.
those comments that where people were plugging in there, and so you know that knowing that I'm making somebody else happy with it is it's everything.
I love it. And someone even said, "Oh, I hear some Ronnie Laws also, I guess, in your playing." Wow, yeah, I love
Oh
Ronnie
wow,
Laws. I was going to ask you that. Well, who were some of your influences?
wonderful. Oh my gosh. Well, you know, like I said, there's that rock side, but then on the jazz side,
Mhm.
as I started really, you know, developing and taking lessons, I just David Sanborn was a huge influence on me. And even though we're like in the same age group, you know, I became a huge Warren Hill fan because he had that rock side also, right? And
Yeah.
really loved what he was doing. And then you know, a lot of the guys out there right now that I've even done shows with, you know, like Paul Taylor. Love
Oh,
Paul
yeah.
Taylor's work on
Yeah.
soprano sax, right?
Of
And
course.
I actually got before I left the business years ago, I got co-billed to do a show with the Rippingtons in Monterey, and Paul was playing in the Rippingtons at that time, right? So we actually got to meet then, and he's a wonderful guy, and that's actually one of the other really great things about this genre is that
Mhm.
the artists, there are so many super nice people, you know, that
Right.
in the artists are just some of the nicest people you've ever met. Dave Koz, all
Right.
these people. Yeah.
Right. Amazing. So again, ladies and gentlemen, that saxophonist, Mr. Phil Walker, his new release, gotta love it. It's available now. Go and download it, stream it, put it on your Spotify playlist, your Apple playlist, wherever. Make sure you go get it. You can go to philwalkerjazz.com, the website. You can order directly from the website. You can get an autographed copy. I always tell people, get one for your car and one for your house. That's just me. That's just how I do it. So stay tuned. We're going to have more conversation with Phil Walker, Dr. G, Mind, Body, and Soul. And we're going to have more up close and personal conversations with our special guest. We'll be right back.
It's time for Health and Wellness Check-In with Dr. Chantel Graham. Tips for the mind, body, and soul.
My friend Dr. G is in the house. I think I need to unmute you, Dr. G. I'm trying to figure out what's going on here. Let's see. Dr. G, you
There
need
you go.
to
I'm muted. For all those who have not said it yet, remember it was Jazzie's birthday last week.
That's right.
He's 22 years old now. I mean, 25. I mean, he's going.
Yeah. Yeah, actually,
we're sticking to it.
yeah, it's 25, Dr. G. But yeah, I had a wonderful birthday.
Good.
A lot of travel. I was in Texas, and then I was in New Orleans, and I was back to Florida and then Georgia, and then I had to take like 4 days off. So.
And you took none of us with you.
I know, but it was all business. That was all business.
Try to throw that in there a little later on. Shade.
You know.
So, you know, we're always talking about being healthy, eating the right things and all that good stuff, but we don't talk about the real nutrients. We always hear about the major ones like calcium and vitamin D and all that good stuff. And what a major nutrient is that you just need 100 milligrams per day. What about those trace elements like copper and fluoride? And one of my favorites, zinc. So today we're going to talk about zinc. And what that means is a trace mineral. You only need less than 100 milligrams a day. Now with zinc, for men, it's 11 milligrams. Women, is 8 milligrams. Now, the great benefits of zinc. One, it keeps your testosterone count up. The great thing about that for men, if you don't have that count up and your levels drop because of zinc, not only are you going to have your levels drop, your gonads are going to start shrinking. you produce less sperm and less good quality of sperm. So that's important. Not just bad, not just low sperm, but it's just not the good one either. So, you got to keep your zinc up. Then you're going to have, it just helps stabilize your blood sugar levels. And we know anytime we talk about blood sugar levels stabilized, that's going to mean weight loss, no diabetes, and no fat around that belly, which I call Dunlap disease, that my stomach Dunlap over my pants. I'm trying to get rid of that. Okay. Then you're going to have it for those who like to run and work out like you, Jazz. You work out every day. It's going to help repair those muscles, whether it be by injury or just working out. So recovery repair is going to be a great thing. It helps mental focus. You get to focus so much better if you have zinc. It's going to prevent what they call hypothymus body atrophy. You don't want your thymus to sink in zinc because that means your immune system gets shut down. You're going to get more infections, specifically respiratory infections. So you want to kind of get rid of that, get that zinc level up, and also helps with better night vision. Oh. Because zinc is high concentrated in your nasal septum as well as your brain, and that retina from your eyes is attached across to your brain. That level goes down, you can't see at night. Now that's my excuse. I just don't have my glasses, but you can really just go with night blindness. Okay, yeah. So you want to get your zinc up. You're going to get it in red meats and beef and fish and chicken. Shellfish is great. Oysters is great. I'm not an oyster person. You can get it in nuts and whole grains, but be careful because certain whole grains will actually stop the absorption of zinc. So you got to just make sure you watch what you eat, So if you're having a lot of hair loss, if you have a loss of taste, a loss of differentiation between different flavors, skin starting to get flaky, not the regular ashy, just flaky skin, that could be because of low zinc levels. What could affect that too? If you're taking birth control, yeah, I know women, it's always us. We get hit with everything. If you're taking birth control, that will drop your zinc level. I'm trying to think what else will happen. Too much pasta, bread, white starch will drop your zinc level. Alcohol, too much of that. And the one last thing that I keep telling you people that will kill you is stress. Stress will drop your zinc level. Okay. Get you some good zinc. Now, the thing about zinc are in your enzymes. You won't get a good blood test, but you can take an at-home zinc test. Go on Amazon. They have all these little zinc kits. You're going to put this liquid under your tongue for 10 seconds. If you get no taste, it's probably because you have a zinc deficiency. But if you have good zinc levels, you'll get like a metal taste in your mouth. Now, if you swallow that liquid, it's fine. It's just nothing but zinc. But test yourself. Check it out. And don't go to Dr. Google. If you're having issues, go to a doctor, a medical professional, and get checked out. So there you have it. Get some zinc in your life. I
love that. So do they have like zinc lozenges? Like
you can have the lozenges. I'm always a liquid person underneath the tongue. Or I'm a vitamin patch girl. Throw that vitamin patch on and keep on going. Yeah.
I love it. But
you need a lot of it. So just get some good food. Get some good vegetables. Get some good fruit. Eat for those who don't like meat because you're vegetarian or vegan. Get some whole grains, some legumes, get some nuts. Get it naturally. It's not that much that you need anyway. Let's go.
I love it, Dr. G. As always. And let people know how they can find you.
There's my email on the screen, Dr. Grimm at theapplife.info. And then if you don't have it, get your copy of Mia. Because we're in the works of getting that second edition out, as well as my nonprofit just started. So I'm going to be coming back in a couple of weeks and give you guys some info where you all can sign up and volunteer.
I love that.
And hashtag share my info. Look, info.
I love it. And of course, always ask you when you are in the OR. I know, you play music. Gotta love it. In the Air Tonight. Will you add that in rotation in the OR?
See, some of these songs that you put on here is just what I consider to be brown liquor songs. I feel like I should have a drink in my hand, shaking my little glass. Can't do that in the OR, but I will play it to get everybody going. I'll throw it in there.
Okay. Can you just hear in the order? I always tell that when I go to the dentist, right? And I have to have some, and I always, I was doing something with a retainer, right? And they said, we're going to give you a sedation. So Corey, like count to 10 and they're playing music, right? I could just hear In the Air Tonight, right?
You got to have that smooth jazz because that helps you calm down. It gets you ready to go to sleep. You want you to go to sleep faster. Just saying.
I love it.
Have good thoughts, happy thoughts.
I love that. Can you stick around?
I am. I'm here all for it.
All right, Dr. G. Thank you so much. And we'll see you in a little bit, okay? All right, thank you. Hey, everybody, that is Dr. G, Dr. Chantel Graham, who's here each and every Monday giving us these amazing health tips and all that jazz. So we're going to go back to our special guest, the one and only saxophonist, Mr. Phil Walker. Let's bring him back into Artist Talk. Hey, Mr. Phil, welcome back.
Hello.
Did you learn anything? I didn't know much about zinc. I didn't know much about zinc.
Well, I mean, in the day job has me, dabbling in research, and in the financial world, we research like everything, right? Because everything can affect finances and the economy and things like that. So yeah, actually I did a lot on zinc during the pandemic, and I made all my whole family take it, right? Because it really helps the immune system. Okay. So it's good to hear that.
That's good. That's good. And so, I'm glad you brought that up. This kind of segues into another question I had also listed with being in finance. And I'm really talking about the business, the music business. You see a lot of artists, you see so many people coming into this business. A lot of them, they like, well, I didn't really take the time to know my business. But I was going to ask you, how important is that for an artist to really know their finances and to know this business and this artist work?
Oh my gosh, it's huge. It's absolutely huge. There are so many incredibly talented musicians that people never hear about because of that, right? They focus entirely on their art, which is great. And and they could be huge solo artists, but they don't understand the marketing side or the business side. It's hard to just raise the money to produce an album. Right. That alone is beyond the means of the average playing musician. And fortunately I had the benefit of having this other career that would afford me to learn some of that stuff along the way. And that's kind of where things are also really different now too than 20 years ago. 20 years ago, you didn't get on the radio unless you had a label behind you, right? Radio stations would not even accept your demo cassette, to really date myself, or demo anything. They wouldn't listen to it. And unless it came from a label. And now, because of the internet and social media, and streaming, the industry has changed completely. And if it made it easier for me to come back, and
I think we okay, there you go.
I play enough piano with the right hand to write, but I couldn't play in my own band on piano, right? And so, I trying to find great employees for a company. I try and find really great musicians, and oh my gosh, the guys that said they'll play on my album, I'm still blown away that Kim Stone on bass from the Rippingtons. He's a Grammy winner. Wow. He was actually, before the Rippingtons, he was with Spyro Gyra, and wrote a song that they got a Grammy, right? And he's playing bass on Gotta Love It. When you listen to Gotta Love It, listen to the bass line. Right. And I still remember like it was yesterday being in the studio with him and the other guys, like Richard Smith was in the room, and some other guys, listening to Kim Stone do his thing on that bass line. And quite frankly, I think he made the song. He just gave that bounce to it, right? It's got that happy bass line that was all Kim Stone.
I love it. And so who else did you work with on your latest album? Anyone else that you work with?
So on Missing You, Steve Oliver does a beautiful guitar solo on that. Dave Hooper, who was also back in the day a Rippington on drums, is on a bunch of the songs. What may be the next release, it just depends on how long Gotta Love It's on the charts. But a tune I wrote called Summer Lovers, which Richard Smith plays a really great guitar solo on. And
I love
he's phenomenal too. So and there's, I mean, there's other guys, but talking about people that everyone should know and doesn't, I've got Chris Tedesco on flugelhorn doing the solo on Gotta Love It that we just did. Amazing trumpet and flugelhorn player, right? And Wendell Kelly, who I actually went to college with on trombone. We were in the Fullerton College Jazz Band in 1982 through 84. Wow. And just a little community college in Southern California that made some amazing albums. We actually won the Berkeley Jazz Festival.
Wow.
Going up against many universities. And Wendell was part of a, you're a jazz historian. Do you know the song Donna Lee by Bird, right? By Charlie Parker?
I know Charlie Parker.
So Charlie Parker, one of his really famous tunes is called Donna Lee. And if you look at it written on paper, there's more black than white. It's just notes everywhere, right?
Right.
And Wendell was a part of our trombone section that played that song, wow. and just an amazing group of artists. Yeah. So I've been blessed to get connected with really good people from the very beginning, when I was a kid, all the way, through to today.
Wow. I love that. And I wanted to also ask you about, I know you've played at numerous jazz festivals, a few jazz festivals. Is there anything coming up that we can see Phil Walker at a jazz festival or somewhere in concert?
So we were working on that last year, and literally everyone in my band lost a family member last year, and it had nothing to do with COVID. It was just really awful timing, and I had to turn down show after show, and so restarted this year. Got the release just came out, a couple weeks ago. And so in the fall, we'll start announcing some shows. And so just watch on the website, sign up on my mailing list. If everyone signs up on, there's a subscribe button on there, right? And if they sign up on the mailing list, all you're going to get is announcements about concerts, nothing else. So we look to be playing all over the place starting in the fall and big time in the spring next year.
Right. So I do have a question from recording artist Castella. She wants to know, where are you located?
I am in the Central Valley of California. And so if you're familiar with the map of California, there's this enormous valley in the middle of it. It's the agricultural capital of the world. A fifth of the world's food is grown here. Right. So it's ag land all around me around here. And I literally live between two rivers right now that are making 100-year-old extinct lake come back to life. Tulare Lake, which was, the second largest freshwater lake west of the Mississippi 100 years ago, disappeared with all the ag and dams and canals and things like that. We got so much rain this past season and snow that lake is coming back. It's already over 10,000 acres. It's expected to get to 100,000 acres.
Wow.
It's going to be like Florida here this summer with the humidity. It's going to be insane. Yeah, wow. We got 300% of normal snowpack up in the mountains above us. It was a crazy, crazy winter. Yeah. So I'm in the middle of the state of California. It takes me the same amount of time to drive to LA as it does San Francisco.
Wow. I love it. So what's the best way to reach you? So there's, I get tweets here and people's like, well, what's the best way to contact? Is it through your website? Tell us your social media platform.
Yeah. So ideally the website, and we have contact emails there, on the website. Booking at philwalker.com if you're looking for booking a show or something like that. Okay. I have an amazing band with me this year. I mean, these guys, I tell people I share a band with Slim Man. I got a lot of them from him. They play with Slim on a regular basis, but they also play with, I got guys that play with Warren Hill and play with Peter White and play with just everybody you could possibly think of. And so it's going to be an amazing show this year with some really great surprise songs. that you've never heard a smooth jazz version of before.
Okay.
And so the website's the best way. Phil Walker Jazz at Facebook also. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, but if you want to reach out to me, the website's the best way.
Okay, we love it. Well, Phil, time always flies when you're having so much fun and the conversation. So I always ask my kids, would you please come back on Artist Talk to talk to me again?
I'd love to. That'd be great.
I would love for you to come again. What can we do, everybody, by the sound of my voice, for those who go back and watch the replay? The new album is out. What can we do to continue to keep supporting you in this album and getting this album, or Gotta Love It, to #1?
Oh gosh, well, request it at your radio station, right? I know you guys play it, so thank you so much for that. That's I saw you on a radio report today, actually. Yeah. So thank you so much for that. And then out there in internet land, stream it. Apple Music, whatever your streaming service is, you'll find it, and those streams count for a lot too. So yeah, I appreciate everyone that and their comments. Thank you so much.
We love it. And I wanted to ask you a final question. Someone who's watching this, who watched the replay, wants to follow in your footsteps. What's the best advice that you've been given, Phil, that you can share? Any words of wisdom? Well,
I was going to say it depends on how old you are, right? But I'm a big reader when it comes to. I like to read and learn things, right? I read incessantly, and my wife complains about how much I'm on my phone, but most of the time I'm reading an article on something that I want to learn about. And an author that I'm a big fan of, Malcolm Gladwell, wrote a book a few years ago called Outliers. And in that book, he kind of discovered what people that achieve high levels of success have in common. And he talks about the Beatles, and he talks about Steve Jobs and all these different people. And one thing they have in common is they got to 10,000 hours really fast, right, of experience doing what they did. A lot of people don't know this, but before the Beatles released their first album, they played for 4 straight years on a music circuit in Germany every single night, several sets a night. They had 10,000 hours together as a band before they wrote their first album.
Wow.
And so for people that want to learn an instrument really well, private lessons. Take private lessons. It will accelerate you. It will help you avoid learning things wrong that you have to unlearn later on. I took private lessons for a decade. Wow. And just would practice 3-4 hours a day a lot of the time. It's funny because it would be very hot in Southern California, and we'd have to leave the doors and windows open, and I would apologize to the neighbors for practicing so much, and they go, "Oh, no, we love it, keep playing," right? Because even at a young age, I'd gotten so many hours in. I was ended up in the All Southern California Honor Band, the All State Honor Band, and all that kind of good stuff. So private lessons, and just be patient with yourself. Put in the time and the hours and the practice, and you'll get there.
I love that. And ladies and gentlemen, this is saxophonist Phil Walker. His latest release is Gotta Love It. That's philwalkerjazz.com. And Phil, I'm going to put you on the spot. If you're able to do this, I would love for you to take us out the show with something. If you're available, I would love to hear a snippet of In the Air Tonight, if you have that available. I don't know if you do, but
you know what? That's on the alto sax, okay, and that is all buttoned up over here and not ready. But I do have another song for you if you want.
Okay, I would love.
And so this is actually the show opener. It's called Rain Dance.
Okay,
and I kind of had a Riptons vibe going on when I wrote this. So hopefully you hear a little bit of that.
Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, don't forget to check out philwalkerjazz.com. Thank you so much for being our special guest. Thank you so much for your support of Artist Talk. Go get a CD now, philwalkerjazz.com. Take it away, Phil. Thank you so much. Our special guest tonight was saxophonist Phil Walker. It was Rain Dance. His new single, Gotta Love It. PhilWalkerJazz.com is the website. Go get the CD, y'all. Go download the CD. And if you don't, as we say on the show, shame on you. Hey, Phil, can you stick around for just a moment too, Phil? Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Hey, everybody. Again, I'm Jazzie K.Ward. Thank you to my special guest, saxophonist Phil Walker, Dr. Chantel Graham, Chef D. Thank you to each and every one of you every Monday. Thank you for all of your support of the show. Don't forget, K.Ward Radio is my YouTube channel. Please subscribe. KWardRadio.com is the website. Check out all these amazing artists. If you would like to send me any music, my information is listed there. If you would like to support the show, No gift is too small. Thank you so much for all that you do. Join me each and every Saturday on WVAS 90.7, Alabama State University. Have a great rest of the week. I'll see you back here on next Monday. I was going to say this: if God's willing and the creek don't rise, I'll see you Monday. That's a saying my grandmother and grandfather used to say back in the day. Again, everybody, thank you so much. Have a blessed week. Bye-bye.